Oh, please, Mr. Wright, don't tell any more lies. The truth is, I came because he called me. He was in the pharmacology department, so he agreed to meet at 2:45 behind the building. Was it Mr. Swallow who indicated you should meet at 2:45? Yeah, and we were both there right on time.
You said the victim was in the pharmacology department, correct?
Yeah, he was studying how to manufacture and improve pharmaceuticals. Everyone called him the alchemist of IVU.
An alchemist? I see.
I gotta admit, it was a little suspicious. He had a whole laboratory and everything. It was filled with chemicals and strange machines that ran on high-voltage electricity.
Oh, how fascinating. Sounds like he was quite an ambitious young man.
What do I do? Maybe I should ask him for more details. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about the pharmacology department. Well, okay, sure. I don't know all that much, though. A little bit earlier in your testimony, you said something interesting. You said the department uses strange machines that run on high-voltage electricity. That's right, and they sure look dangerous. They use non-standard voltages, so there are high-voltage cables everywhere. High-voltage cables? Yeah, there were electrical poles set up all around the building. The high-voltage cables run overhead around the roof. Finally, I think we're getting somewhere. We talked for a bit, and then around 3 o'clock, we split up. Then later, when I went back, I found him lying there. I'd been taking cold X for the past 2 or 3 days, but I last went back around lunchtime on the day of the accident. On the day of the incident, what did you do for lunch? Huh? What does this have to do with anything? You can never be too sure. I always eat lunch with Dolly. Just the two of us. Dolly's homemade lunches are just the greatest. Her mini omelets are magically delicious. Yo! Why did you just punch me in the jaw? Oh, I'm so sorry. I just felt like hurting someone all of a sudden.
I think that's enough for now. So the defendant and the victim met at approximately the time of his death, and then the defendant returned to the scene for some unknown reason.
I'm not entirely convinced by his explanation about the medicine bottle either.
Let me be frank here, Mr. Wright. Your testimony cannot be trusted.
What do you mean?
I knew it was too much work for a little girl.
However, there's one mystery that still remains.
There is, Your Honor?
Well, the murder was carried out, of course. Just how was the victim electrocuted? I don't believe the murder weapon has been produced yet, correct?
Well, that is, You are correct, Your Honor.
So how exactly was Mr. Swallow killed? If I could somehow establish how it was done, maybe I could still come out of this mess smelling like a rose. Your Honor.
Yes, Miss Fay?
I believe that if we were to piece together everything we've heard up until now, we should be able to solve the mystery of how Mr. Swallow died.
That would be impressive.
Quite a brash statement coming from a rookie. But even a beginner like you must understand the basic rules of the court. Yes?
An attorney must be able to sustain their arguments with evidence. Of course I know that. Actually, I had totally forgotten about that.
Now then, Miss Fay, let's see what you've got. Show me how you believe the victim was electrocuted.
As for the cause of death, I'd say this picture captures it quite well.
What? But there's nothing that even remotely resembles the murder weapon here. I'm afraid the defense is going to have to explain this in a bit more detail. Miss Fay, where exactly in this photo is the murder weapon?
Well, naturally, it's right here.
What is that?
A severed electrical cable, I believe, Your Honor. Remember the testimony we've heard. The machines pharmacology students use in their experiments require high voltage, and because of that, there are special high voltage cables strung up everywhere.
So then, the high voltage cable?
Yes, the high voltage cable is the cause of death. That is the most likely explanation.
That certainly sounds plausible. Well, Mr. Payne, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I believe some praise is in order.
Don't toy with me, old man.
Now. The victim's cause of death may indeed have been the high-voltage cable. However, I want you to think about what really implies. The only one who had the opportunity to use the cable as a murder weapon was... the defendant.
That's you!
That much is certainly true.
Yes, and that's not all. We have proof. Irrefutable proof that will establish Mr. Wright was the murderer.
You do? Well, what is it?
His fingerprints.
Fingerprints? You mean that the defendant's fingerprints were on something besides the medicine bottle?
Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. As you can see, the victim's wearing a leather jacket. And as you may know, leather holds fingerprints quite well.
You mean?
Yes, it was quite clearly imprinted on the chest area of the victim's jacket. The palm print of the defendant's very own hand.
What?
I can only think of one way Mr. Wright could have left a print like that. Intent on murder, he squarely pushed the victim towards the severed electrical cable.
Order! 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 That's enough! I think we can conclude that there is no reason to continue with this cross-examination.
Stick a fork in us. We're done.
Mr. Grossberg!
My hemorrhoids never lie. The show is over, Mia. I knew that boy was guilty the first time I saw him.
No! You're wrong! Mr. Wright is innocent!
No further evidence is required to convince me of this man's guilt.
Your Honor!
At this time, I am prepared to render a verdict in this case. Do you have something further to add, Miss Fay?
Is this what you want, Mr. Wright?
Huh?
You still haven't told us the truth, the whole truth. If you don't say something now, the judge is going to hand down his verdict. But I can't. I just can't say it. If I told you what really happened, then I'd be... It's okay, Mr. Wright. I am your attorney. You can trust me. Miss Fay, no matter what it is you have to say, I'll believe in you and I'll represent you in the very end.
You've already established the defendant's guilt. There is no further need for him to say anything.
Wait a minute. Mr. Wright, I'll tell you what really happened.
But I've already told you, Mr. Wright. There's no need for further...
I did it. I admit it, I pushed him. It's my fault. It's my fault the dog swallow was dead.
That girl, you shouldn't see her anymore.
Hey, it's none of your business.
I'm telling you for your own sake, if you continue to see her, it's going to be bad news.
You're lying.
Just listen to me. There's something you need to know about that girl.
Stop it! Don't talk about her like that!
What you just said. Was that the truth?
Yes. I was afraid. Afraid that if I told the truth, everyone would think I was the murderer for sure.
Well, as things currently stand, we are all absolutely convinced you are.
Please! Please give me one more chance to explain. This time I swear I'll tell the whole truth. It'll be okay, won't it, Miss Fay? I believe in you.
Oh, thank you. I still can't believe it. He really did push the victim.
It feels like my hemorrhoids are doing the Harlem Shake. That guy, he was talking bad about Dolly. I lost my temper and gave him a shove. At that moment, I heard some kind of loud noise. A little while after I left, I started to get worried, so I went back, but he was just lying there dead.
Well, the explanation is really quite simple. When you pushed him, Mr. Swole flew back and touched the electrical cable. He died from the shock, and that, as they say, is that.
A simple explanation indeed.
At the time of the incident, a light rain had been falling. Wet from the rain, the victim is more easily electrocuted.
But when I pushed him, there weren't any electrical cables nearby. If there had been something like that, even I would have noticed it.
That's true.
Even a doofus like him couldn't miss that.
Miss Fay, let me warn you right now that if your cross-examination doesn't yield any new facts, I intend to deliver my verdict without any further delay. Are we clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor.